It's being sponsored by the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency. Join us in preserving and protecting Tennessee's wildlife. All right, guys, this segment's being sponsored by our friends over at Taylor's Archery. Y'all can find them at 100 East Lauderdale Street over in Tullahoma, Tennessee. Or give owner Tracy Taylor a call, 931-563-7706. Let them take care of all your archery needs. Get down there and take advantage of their indoor range, and be sure to tell Tracy thanks for all he does for us. All right, welcome back to the studio. We're in studio tonight, joined by, I've got Duk Madere here with us. We've got Roger McMullen with us, but we've also got Matt Dale with Dale Outdoors. Such a pleasure to have you in here tonight with us. We've been talking a little bit of early season stuff, but we were just talking a while ago before we went to that hunt, which very much enjoyed that, Duk. Thank you for sharing that with us. I know he's still pouting over that mess over there, but
that's all right. I will get him in during. I hope you get him during
and he did have pictures. If any of you are wondering, he has already got pictures of the buck. Yeah. He is
the buck
back running around, and he is unscathed. So it was a
hot, miserable, awesome weekend. A lot of action, man. It was action from day one to the last day till we left. You know, it was great.
It was. Y'all had a good velvet weekend, and I think we're gonna have a great season to come. You know, but when we talked a little bit about food as well a while ago, and right now, you know, Matt, a lot of the bucks they've moved to acorns, especially if you can find a white oak acorn tree right now that's dropping. Man, you know, get in there and get around it. But there's some other foods that are major attractors for deer. And I was telling you, Roger, I had some deer. I was filming with my son the other day, and they were 10 yards from us. We were hunting on the ground, and we were watching them. They were eating persimmons, and they were so close you could hear that doe smacking those persimmons. But those deer, I have watched them come out of the woods 400 and 500 yards away and make their way across that field to come out of that persimmon tree and see if there's any persimmons under it. So if you have a persimmon producing right now, a great place to be right now. And even if you're under it and you don't see them, you better make sure you look up the tree, because if you see a bunch of them up in the tree and you don't see them on the ground, that's a good thing. I mean, because they just sweep them up like a vacuum cleaner. But some other things you might look for, I love honeysuckle. If I can find honeysuckle on a tree road or something right now, you know, something else they really like to come to. But there's a lot of different foods like that right now that they're after. I'm sure I'm not hitting them all. Are there anything else comes to mind for you maybe that somebody might?
I think standing beans too. I mean, you don't want to look standing beans. I've seen deer go right through a cornfield that's not cut and go and go to a bean field, like if it's side by side.
Yeah.
And I've seen them do that. And I think what it is, beans just, you know, it's a protein, and everything a deer does, especially a buck, if we're talking about bucks, it's leading to the rut.
Yeah.
Because that's their year.
That's their year. That's what everything revolves around.
Everything works. You know, everything works to the rut, which is, you know, about a month away at least. But he's got to store up that energy. He will lose a lot of pounds in 4 or 5 weeks that he's out there chasing. And I mean, so he's storing up all that right now. So anything that's high protein, anything that's, you know, it's going to give them a lot of energy. But white oaks, you know, right now, if you, like you said, if you can find a white oak, I mean, I know we all like to hunt field edges, and we all like to watch them, and we all like to get, especially if you video, but
it's a lot easier to film one in the field than it is. You get in the woods and everything changes.
It all changes, but you don't hunt where you want to hunt. You hunt where the deers are at.
Or if you do, you just, you know, you can film the field, you know.
And you might film one at the dusky dark, come out 300 yards, but you got a bow. Why, you know what?
Yeah.
So you saying that with the deer going to sit there and eat all that up to burn that energy and lose all that weight during the rut?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I need to do. Go back in the rut. I might better lose a few pounds. I'm just storing up energy, but I ain't burning none off.
You've been eating too many beans over there. But no, you have a good point. Beans are very high in protein. Acorns very high in protein. But anything that'll give them high energy. Now corn, you mentioned that. Corn's really just high fat. I mean, there's high fat content there.
It's good for the winter, and you know.
But they're not going to store energy as much off of that.
Great for winter. You know, like
it is winter forage.
But beans and white oaks, I can't. I mean, it's just white oaks are like a diamond to a whitetail, you know. And a lot of guys mess up because we get, you know, creatures of habit. And the deer are in a lot of ways too. But we are creatures of habit. We like to hunt the same stand. We like to hunt the same, you know, kind of, if we're used to hunting fields, we're used to hunting strip jobs, that's what we like to hunt.
Yeah.
But it goes back to what old Fred Berry used to say: you don't hunt where you want to hunt. You hunt where the deers are at.
That's right.
And that's with anything, turkeys or anything. And so, because I have guys all the time, where I'm known for turkey hunting, they'll say, well, what happened to them? I'm like, I only go find them. Well, they were here. Well, they're not there now, so you got to go find them somewhere. And for whatever reason, hens may take them off or whatever the case, but you got to hunt where they're at. And but sometimes it's hard to break that habit. Especially in deer hunting, because especially if we've got like homemade blind, like homemade stand where we can sit there rifle season and shoot 300. Well, you may not can do that with a bow.
That's right. Bow season is a totally different. You have to have a different mindset completely.
Yeah.
And like I said, for example, on those acorn trees, you don't want to go find that white oak and go hang your stand 10 yards away from it. You don't do that. You want to figure out how they're approaching, and you can get back off of it.
I'll tell you something else, not to interrupt, but I'll tell you something else that a lot of people overlook. And I love to do. I still do it to this day, and at least kill one a year with a bow. I like it on the ground. Forget the tree stand. The foliage is on right now.
Yeah.
I just get no blind or nothing. Just get up behind a big tree.
Yeah.
Just like we did when we was kids. Get up, play the wind right, and just sit up on a good trail that goes from feed to bed. I don't try to set up on the bed, and I don't try to set up right on the food, but like getting them trails that lead to
back off. That's exactly what I was just getting at. Was you don't want to get right on top of it.
No, because they know. Once they get into that area where they're going to stay a while, everything goes on alert. But if you catch them coming and going, a deer is never, they're never going to just be totally off their guard. But it seems like between feeding and bedding areas, them trails that lead to it, they just let their guard down because they got a place they want to go.
Yeah, they're more focused on getting where they're going.
Right. And it seems like you can move, draw back. I mean, I shot a doe, big old mature doe. I shot her about, I don't know, season 4 last. I shot her at 8 steps, and I was on the ground, no blind, just me up against a tree, just like I did when I was a kid.
Yeah.
8 yards.
It's amazing how effective that can be, and it gives you the ability to move wherever you need to that day for the wind or for where the sun is, morning, afternoon. There's a lot of advantage to the ground, and those watching tonight that especially know me well and have watched me on here over the years know I don't hunt tree stands. I don't like them. I'll go entire seasons without getting in a tree stand. I hunt from the ground. Sometimes, like you say, just against a tree. Sometimes I might build a little brush blind, sometimes out of a pop-up blind, but I don't do stands. I don't like heights. Once I learned I could sit on the ground and shoot them, like you say, that was it for me.
And I don't think there's anything more exciting. I mean, I'll shoot them at a tree stand too. I mean, I get, but and you're probably better off in a tree. If it come down to just shooting a deer, I got to kill a deer, you're better off in a tree probably. But to me, there's nothing more exciting, maybe except spring gobbler, but there's nothing deer hunting than being eye to eye at one at 10, 15 yards.
It changes things.
And it just, and it seems like I've made better shots on the ground.
I definitely do. But again, in my case, the heights bother me. Yeah. And I know a lot of people, watching heights bother them. Well, when you're worried about
angles,
the height, you've already got an angle. You're nervous where you're at because you don't like being, So my shooting is 100% is better on the ground because I'm comfortable, and that's what anybody's got. Where they're comfortable, especially to shoot a bow.
And even if you're not afraid of heights, the angles, if you're 20 feet up in a tree,
you got this much margin of air, where on the ground you got this much margin of air. That's exactly right.
And I always, which this might help somebody, but I've been doing this because I had a guy, which a lot of you probably older viewers, this was the old school thought, but it still works. But I had a problem when I first started bow hunting. I started bow hunting when I was 13 years old. And I had a problem shooting over the deer, just shooting over the deer. And I put it right on him, shooting over the deer. And an old-time bow hunter told me, he said, aim for the heart, don't aim for the lungs, aim for that heart, which is sets a little bit lower. He said, aim for the heart. He said, if they react, lung shot them. If they don't, heart shoot them. And when I just had it in my mind, now it's so natural to me. Now, if I'm on the ground, might, but if I'm on the stand, it's so natural for me just to put it right lower than what a target in your backyard shows, because a target out there will fool you in your backyard. That's not really where the vitals is at, and that'll fool a lot of people. But bow hunting, as we all know, is a game of inches.
It is, and those inches count big time and they can move a long way.
They can move
really fast. And there's been studies on that drop.
But if you can just remember to pull lower, and I've heart shot so many deers where I've aimed purposely low and they didn't react or whatever. And if you heart shoot a deer,
and that's there's nothing wrong with that. And
they
then if
ain't going 50, 40, 50 yards. You know, they pile up right in front of you, and that's what we want as bow hunters.
It makes all the difference in the world. And I do the same thing even as a ground hunter. And I don't use a set. I use an adjustable pin, in other words. But point is, if that deer is at 33 yards, I will shoot it for 30.
Yeah.
I will intentionally shoot it just a couple of yards low. Basically the same concept. Just instead of holding low, I'm intentionally going to take just a little bit off of that arrow, because if you're going to miss a deer 9 times out of 10, you're going to shoot over it.
Sure.
And a lot of times your arrow was going where it's supposed to be going.
Yeah.
You know, and that deer, if you watch it in slow mode, now I've watched enough hunts, especially, you know, in the studio, going back and looking slow mo, a deer can drop 8-10 inches that fast. I mean, in a split second.
And you're never going to get a bow fast enough.
No.
I mean, maybe at 10 yards.
Yeah, 10 yards.
But when I started bow hunting, a fast bow back when I first started bow hunting was 200 feet a second.
I remember when they got one of the, I think it was the Hoyt, I think it was called the Smoke, but I remember when they got it up to 230 feet a second.
Oh, we thought that was
buddy,
great.
Hey, the whole, it was like they took over the whole nation, because they got to 230 feet a second. You know, and now you can go buy a kid's bow somewhere, you know, shooting to it. So
but no matter
really come such a long way.
Like I'm pumping out 300 feet a second in my elite. I mean, I'm pumping about 300, but still, they just react.
Just the fastest thing can happen. But guys, let's go over right now and do this week's tip of the week. This week's tip of the week's been sponsored by our buddy Wes Stone over at Crowlight Realtors. Y'all can reach out to Wes 615-289-9551 or stop in and see him there at his office, 1432 West Main Street in Lebanon, Tennessee. Let Wes take care of all your real estate needs. You can go in there and bend his ear about deer hunting too. He might give you a secret or two every once in a while. But guys, for your tip tonight, I got one that kind of feeds off what we've been talking about, and it worked out well because I was already thinking about sharing this. But we've been talking about acorns tonight, and finding those acorns right now is extremely important. And a lot of people struggle with, you know, how do I go in the woods and find acorns right now? Of course, you can do it right now. One of the best times to do it, though, is in the winter time, because the oak trees will hold their leaves longer than the other trees. So when you go in the woods, all the trees have dropped their leaves. Go walking in the woods and look up in the trees for the trees that are still holding brown leaves on them. Not every one of them is going to be an oak tree, but oak's one of the very few that does that, and it is a great way to find those trees in the off season, get them marked, figured out. This time of year, you don't have to worry about where to go in a setup because you've already found it in the winter. All right, guys, we're going to get ready to take another quick break. We'll be right back with some more Southern Woods and Waters.